Part 14. Doomsday Special Forces. Author, Huanjing Chengzhu. Chapter 131. Moreover, Lu Qiang is now in charge of the base. Now Lu Qiang will not go out every day, but stays in the camp, because after Wang Feng comes out, he is the only evolver in the entire base, and there are no large-scale corpses outside. The group needs him to deal with it. Now the Guardian soldiers of Hope Base are expanding the search area bit by bit. In the safe places they have marked, ordinary people will collect supplies and then transfer them back to the base. Duan Lei means that no matter whether they can be used or not, as long as they can be moved, bring them all back. Therefore, to put it more harshly, I hope that the people in the base are like locusts passing through the border, spreading to the surrounding areas with Bishui community as the center, and taking away everything they can except the houses. At the west gate of Bishui community, all kinds of materials that are temporarily unused but not afraid of rain are gathered here, making it like a flea market, and almost everything can be found here. The base is left to Duan Lei and the others. Outside, Wang Feng needs to increase his apocalypse points as soon as possible. Apocalypse is the key to the number of strong people in the base. Only with many strong people can they go further and further in this apocalypse. Especially knowing that apocalypse can now separate those special mutant energies, Wang Feng is even more eager to kill some mutant beasts with special powers. In this way, the evolutionary potion synthesized by apocalypse can make the user more powerful. Of superpowers. Therefore, even though he knew that there might be various dangers when entering the mountainous area, Wang Feng decided to go in to investigate. At least he still had his own support, namely Apocalypse and Gale. Apocalypse can sense the life energy fluctuations emitted by powerful creatures, and the moment the strong wind breaks out, Wang Feng has a life-saving trick. Entering the mountainous area carefully, Wang Feng paid vigilant attention to his surroundings. Most of his attention was on the trees and other herbaceous plants, because the life fluctuations of mutant beasts were very strong. The more powerful the mutant beasts, the more powerful Apocalypse could be. The sooner you sense it. But the plant type cannot. It may be due to the relationship between life forms. When the mutated plants do not really show their ferocity, Apocalypse cannot feel its life energy. This is why Apocalypse did not discover that plant before. Willow is a mutant plant. Mutated plants seem to be able to completely lock their life energy in their bodies without leaking out at all, so unless those plants attack Wang Feng, or it actively uses life waves to contact Apocalypse, Apocalypse will not be able to sense them. Of course, there is another way, that is, Wang Feng can hold Tiankai, and when he sees a tall plant, he can go up and give it a knife. Tiankai can absorb the energy of mutated plants, but ordinary plants cannot, because their life energy is too weak. Less than Tiankai's absorption standard. But that was too tiring, so Wang Feng didn't plan to experiment one by one. He transformed Apocalypse into his second form, and when he saw a suspicious plant, he shot an arrow to see its reaction. But now that hundreds of arrows have been shot, no plant has reacted. Wang Feng is a little discouraged. He doubts that those plants will do anything to his arrows even if they are mutated. He remembers Tang Haoshan's reaction at that time. When the big knife was chopped on the willow tree had no reaction. It wasn't until Tang Haoshan walked up to it that the willow tree suddenly launched an attack and rolled up Tang Haoshan. So now Wang Feng is shooting these arrows just to test the toughness of these plants. The mutant plants will definitely be much stronger than ordinary plants. If his arrows only go in a little when they shoot on the trunk, then it means that there is probably something wrong with the tree. Although this is not absolute, it can be regarded as a method. During this period, any exploration team that goes out will receive Duan Lei's care. As long as arrows are found, they will all be recovered. Therefore, the feather arrows in the base now are absolutely not lacking. Last night, Wang Feng had already taken out all the turtle meat from the Apocalypse space. First, he asked Duan Lei to find someone to remove all the turtle's scales and make them into shields. In addition, because he had the idea of entering the mountain, he first let's talk about it when the space is free. But if you really encounter a mutated beast and have no place to put it after killing it, it will be depressing. Anyway, the power in the club has been restored now. At most, you can just buy more refrigerators and freezers to store the turtle meat. In the free space, Wang Feng once again packed some camping supplies, and also replenished his own feather arrows. Anyway, these things did not take up much space, especially compared to the current apocalypse space. Therefore, Wang Feng installed more than 20,000 feather arrows in the apocalypse space, because this can be regarded as Wang Feng's main attack method. Walking and shooting all the way, Wang Feng was in the mood for an outing at this time. While looking around, he suddenly noticed a big pine tree in front of him on the left, which looked bigger than the willow tree he got. 15 meters high, and the diameter of the trunk is close to 2 meters. Unlike the willow tree, the branches and leaves of this pine tree begin half a meter above the ground, shrinking layer by layer, like a pyramid, except that it is green. Wang Feng stopped. Although Tiankai still didn't feel the life energy of this pine tree, Wang Feng felt that this pine tree was most likely a mutant plant. Drawing the bow, Wang Feng shot an arrow at the trunk of the pine tree. He did not rashly go directly to the pine tree to test it. He had to at least find out the attack method of this pine tree first. Bang! The feather arrow hit the trunk of the pine tree. Seeing the pine tree hit by the arrow, Wang Feng was more confident that the pine tree was a mutant plant, because the arrow he shot with all his strength only penetrated less than 2 centimeters into the trunk of the pine tree. With his current strength and the advantage of using the apocalypse bow, it would be strange if an ordinary pine tree was not shot through by him, but the strange thing was that the pine tree did not react to Wang Feng's arrow. Wang Feng thought about it and drew the apocalypse bow again, but this time he activated his superpower, the ice arrow. At the moment when Wang Feng activated his superpower, the front end of the ordinary feather arrow on the bow instantly turned white, and a trace of cold air emanated from the tip of the arrow, which looked a bit weird. Swoosh, the arrow flew off the string and hit the trunk of the pine tree again. Then, the position where the arrow hit the trunk was stained with white and was slowly expanding. Swish, this time the pine tree reacted. One of its branches suddenly shook, and then the pine needles on the branch suddenly left the main body of the pine tree and shot towards Wang Feng like sharp arrows. Although there were only pine needles on one branch, there were tens of thousands of them. A large area of pine needles shot out at the same time, covering Wang Feng at a very fast speed. Wang Feng was shocked and immediately launched a gust of wind, retreating to his left rear at a very fast speed, leaving the range covered by the pine needles. With a slight sound, the position where Wang Feng was originally standing was covered with small holes, which were shot by the dense pine needles. Seeing the pine needles completely nailed into the ground, leaving only those tiny holes, Wang Feng couldn't help but feel scared. If it weren't for his ability of Gale, he would have been shot into a sieve now. Looking at the force of the pine needles nailing into the ground, even a defensive enhancer would find it difficult to resist. Looking at the pine tree from a distance, Wang Feng was a little confused. This was actually a pine tree with long-range attack capabilities. How could he get close to it? Through the sky eye, Wang Feng found that the branch that had just been shot out of needles and looked bare had needles slowly emerging again. Judging from the speed, this branch might be able to recover in 2 minutes. Wang Feng took a breath of cold air. It can still recover? And so fast? In other words, this pine tree can basically be said to be a long-range firepower point with unlimited ammunition? If it can be subdued and brought back to plant in the base, the defense capability of the base will instantly rise to a higher level. Although the pine tree will certainly consume some pine needles, there are plenty of zombie corpses on his side to replenish it. But now Wang Feng's problem is how to get close to this pine tree. His wind consumes physical strength and cannot last for a long time. It is basically impossible to consume all the needles of this pine tree. Even if its needles cannot be replenished, it is an impossible task for Wang Feng to consume all its needles, because the pine tree used to attack him just now was only the needles on a branch, and this pine tree has at least hundreds or thousands of such branches. Apocalypse. Can you contact this tree now? Wang Feng decided to ask for help from Apocalypse. It would be much easier if Apocalypse could directly persuade this pine tree to surrender. No. This life did not receive the life energy fluctuations I sent out after trying. Apocalypse gave Wang Feng a disappointing answer. Then I'll throw you out, and then nail you into its trunk, so you should be able to absorb its life energy, right? Just like what I did with the willow tree. Wang Feng came up with another idea. Sure. As long as I nail you into its trunk, I can absorb its life energy, and it's easy to kill it directly. Tiankai's answer was a little arrogant, but his tone was emotionless. Okay. Let's do it. Wang Feng took a deep breath, then transformed Tiankai's form into Tiankai blade, and looked at the pine tree. At this time, Wang Feng was about 60 to 70 meters away from the pine tree, because if the distance was closer, Wang Feng was afraid of attracting the attack of the willow tree again. The speed of those pine needles was really fast. If the distance was too close, I'm afraid that even with the gust of wind, Wang Feng would not be sure to completely avoid its attack. Doomsday Special Forces. Author, Huanjing Chengzhu. Chapter 132. Wang Feng took the apocalypse and aimed at the pine tree for a long time, but he did not throw it out because he had some concerns in his heart. Because he didn't know whether this pine tree had other skills besides launching its needles. If its branches were like those of the willow tree and could be waved freely, then his apocalypse might be shot down by the pine tree during the flight. If he didn't hit its trunk, Wang Feng would face a very embarrassing situation. He would not be able to take back the apocalypse. If he wanted to take back the apocalypse remotely, he had to keep the distance from the apocalypse within 10 meters, even if the apocalypse advanced to the second level. For the willow tree, this distance might not matter, but this pine tree had long-range attack power. Just now, he was more than 20 meters away from it, and he almost didn't avoid the attack of pine needles. If he approached 10 meters. And just now, the pine tree only launched the needles on a very small branch. Who knows if this pine tree will come more next time? By then, he might not even be able to take back the apocalypse. Now, apocalypse not only carries Wang Feng's hope, but also carries the future of the entire hope base and even the entire human race. Therefore, Wang Feng dare not take this risk now, because the gains are not proportional to the risks. Although even if apocalypse is gone now, Wang Feng is still the most powerful evolver in the entire hope base, but without the potion synthesized by apocalypse, perhaps Wang Feng and Duan Lei will gradually lose control of the base. It's not that the people in the base are too realistic, but in this doomsday, everyone is trying to keep themselves alive. When you can make him strong quickly or see hope, he will follow your footsteps closely. But when you can't do these, maybe some people will stay, but most people will definitely leave. The complexity of human hearts has never changed because of anything. After aiming for a long time, Wang Feng still sighed, put away apocalypse, and then walked around the pine tree to leave. He didn't plan to take this risk. Although he was very envious of this pine tree, he was not yet at the point where he could take apocalypse as a bet. In addition to throwing out the apocalypse to attack its trunk, Wang Feng has no other way to deal with this pine tree for the time being. The arrows in the apocalypse space are enough, but Wang Feng has never thought of using these arrows to shoot this pine tree. Taking out the compass and looking at it, Wang Feng bypassed the huge pine tree and planned to continue to go deep into the mountains. If this doesn't work, give up. As the old saying goes, you can't hang yourself on a tree. You should always be able to meet a good one, right? At least you have to kill a few mutant beasts and go back. Tang Haoshan had an accident this time. When Wang Feng synthesized the evolution potion for him, he had already added the mutant life energy with defensive attributes. In other words, Wang Feng now has no additional attributes that can be added when synthesizing the evolution potion. Ordinary evolutionary fluids can naturally be synthesized, but Wang Feng doesn't want to create so many ordinary evolvers now. Looking at Lu Qiang's ability, you can see that the ability of such evolvers cannot bring them much additional combat power. Lu Qiang's ability is gigantic, instantly enlarging his body, and increasing his strength fivefold, but there are only these two increases, and his own physical strength has not changed at all. This is why Lu Qiang became scarred in the battle with the mutant zombies. Not only were his arms pierced by claws, but even his ears were torn off. Although his body will be repaired automatically when he recovers, even without asking Wang Feng, he knows that this must consume Lu Qiang's life energy, and once the injury is too serious, it is likely that this repair will not be so complete. And the evolvers are not even considered third-level creatures, and even he, a second-level evolver, is not qualified to enter the ranks of third-level creatures. This means that there is a higher realm above the evolvers, so when becoming an evolver, Wang Feng must lay a good foundation for the people around him. At least one ability that matches him will be used to synthesize the evolution potion. This is Wang Feng's idea now, so he urgently needs to increase his mutant life energy in the apocalypse. Just halfway around the pine tree, Wang Feng suddenly discovered that there was a small wooden house behind the pine tree. Wang Feng stared blankly at the wooden house that looked very familiar to him, and suddenly a very strange feeling emerged in his heart. Wang Feng was familiar with this wooden house, not because he had seen it before, but because he had seen wooden houses of the same style as this one. This wooden house was built with branches and mud, without any ropes or metal at all. It was a standard camping house. Moreover, the clear dagger mark on the wooden house made Wang Feng know who the owner of this camping house was. Standing in front of the wooden house, Wang Feng seemed to see the middle-aged man again, the iron-blooded soldier whose face was full of firm lines but never had any expression, which made these students unwilling to dream of him even in their dreams. Devil Instructor was the name secretly given to him by the students who received training with Duan Lei. In fact, it was also the unanimous name given to him by all the Special Forces soldiers he had trained. Li Yingning, the chief instructor of the Dark Assassin Special Operations Brigade, looks like a middle-aged man in his 30s, but no one knows his actual age. Before the end of the world, he was a well-known Special Forces king, and was on the underground blacklist of at least 13 countries. When his name first appeared on the list, it was already more valuable than some heads of state. However, since Black Ice, the world's second-ranked killer organization at the time, and Yelang, the world's #1 mercenary organization, started to compete with each other. After he disappeared inexplicably a few days after the mission to kill him, no underground force would touch this mission again. Moreover, at least 7 countries sent their most elite special forces to try to bring back his head, but the end result was no news at all, not even a photo of him. Codename Shura, real name Li Yingning, age unknown, extremely dangerous. These 17 characters are the most detailed information about him that other countries or forces can give. Li Yingning is different from other special forces. He never paints camouflage on his face, nor does he cover his face in any way, because what he says most often is, "Dragon has reverse scales, and you will die if you touch it, and wolves have hidden thorns. Anyone who looks at it will perish." The original text of this sentence should be, "The dragon has reverse scales, and the wolf has dark thorns. If you look at it, you will be angry, and if you touch it, you will die." But Li Yingning separated the sentence, in his words, "As long as it is an enemy, once he sees me, then he must die, and right away." Therefore, Li Yingning's special operations team is called Dark Thorns. It is a team with only 12 members, but has never tasted defeat. Moreover, all members of the Dark Thorns have done it. They must die when they see their enemies. And immediately, Wang Feng and Duan Lei were not members of the Dark Assassination, but they had received training from Li Yingning. During the selection of special forces in the army, he and Duan Lei passed the test and finally became special forces. Wang Feng will never forget those days in his life, but he will also never take the initiative to recall them in his life. Therefore, when he saw this familiar sign, Wang Feng immediately knew that this house was built by Li Yingning. Maybe this was his hiding place, but looking at the location of the camping house, it was obvious that he had entered the attack of pine trees. Range. Instructor. Instructor Shura, Wang Feng shouted loudly towards the camping room. Although the years of torture by him were unbearable to look back on, Wang Feng knew that maybe it was because of the period of torture that he almost wanted to commit suicide. Experience, so I can survive until now. Li Yingning, after waiting for a while, Wang Feng found that there was no movement in the hut, so Wang Feng simply shouted his name. When he first learned the instructor's name, Wang Feng thought the name was a bit feminine. Later, after Duan Lei's explanation, he realized the meaning of the name. If this name was really given to him by the instructor's parents, then it means that the instructor's parents are really prescient. Sakuraning. From Zhuangzi, the original text is, its name is Yingning. Those who are calming are those who are happy and then become successful. It means that a person can maintain a peaceful mind without being affected by the outside world. Zhuangzi calls it Yingning. Isn't that what instructor Li Yingning's performance looks like? He always has that poker face. No matter what happens, he doesn't have any mood swings, as if everything in this world has nothing to do with him. Regardless of whether his heart is able to maintain peace of mind without being affected by the outside world, at least his face must be able to do so. Wang Feng even dared to bet that even in this post-apocalyptic world, when he saw the instructor, his face would still have that poker face. It's a pity that Wang Feng didn't see that face, because he yelled more than a dozen times, but there was no sound at all in the camping room, as if no one lived there at all. Could it be that the pine tree suddenly mutated, so the instructor left? But when Wang Feng looked at the camping room, he didn't feel like it had been unoccupied for many days, so he simply sat down and waited there. Because Wang Feng didn't quite believe that his devil instructor would be driven away by a tree. Although he knew how powerful the tree was, he still didn't believe that the man who was already a myth in their hearts would treat a tree like him. Nothing can be done. He has to wait for the instructor to come back. In today's world, if he can find an instructor and let him join his base, in Wang Feng's eyes, this is more important than killing some mutant beasts. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Doomsday Special Forces. Author, Huanjing Chengzhu. Chapter 133. Wang Feng's thoughts were confirmed. After waiting for more than 2 hours, he finally waited for the person he was waiting for. When Li Yingning appeared in front of Wang Feng jumped up almost reflexively, stood at attention, and then saluted in a standard military salute. Student 0842 reports to the instructor. Please give instructions. At this time, Li Yingning was still in camouflage, just like when Wang Feng first met him. His angular face had no expression, and his deep eyes had no emotion, but with a power that seemed to penetrate people's souls, making people feel a kind of fear from the heart for no reason. If there is any difference, it may be the stick in Li Yingning's hand at this moment. In Wang Feng's memory, the instructor never used a stick, but a dagger, a bayonet that was exactly the same as his unique symbol. Seeing this stick, Wang Feng couldn't help but think of the Apostle Paul mentioned by Luo Keiying, but he immediately put this idea behind him. Luo Keiying said very clearly that the Apostle Paul was a young man of 23 or 24 years old, and he had a handsome face. This description did not match the instructor at all, whether in age or appearance, At least, the instructor's face had nothing to do with handsomeness. Hearing Wang Feng's voice, Li Yingning did not stop her steps. Xiao Feng, right? You are not dead? Very good. Come in with me, but there seemed to be no joy in her tone. Watching Li Yingning stride towards the camping house, Wang Feng couldn't help but be shocked. Instructor, be careful. Come in. Xiao Song won't hurt you. Li Yingning said this without even looking back, and strode into the camping house. Wang Feng looked at the pine tree that suddenly became a good baby, and then looked at Li Yingning, who had already stepped into the door, and made up his mind and walked towards the camping house with full vigilance. Unexpectedly, it seemed that since Li Yingning appeared, the pine tree had become an ordinary tree. It did not move until Wang Feng walked into the room. Wang Feng finally breathed a sigh of relief when he walked into the room. Then he looked around the room. The room was about 40 square meters in size. There was a bed made of dry grass branches, and unknown animal skins were spread on it. There were some dried meats hanging on the wall. Because they were processed, Wang Feng could not tell what kind of animals they were. There was a stove made of mud in the corner, and there was an iron pot on it. It seemed that the instructor had searched for it outside. Seeing Wang Feng enter the room, Li Yingning looked at Wang Feng, and seemed to think that Wang Feng was not hungry in this doomsday, so he nodded gently to express his approval. You were attacked by Xiao Song. Wang Feng nodded. Of course, he knew who the Xiao Song in the instructor's mouth was. Not bad, I was not injured by Xiao Song's attack, Li Yingning still said expressionlessly, but there was a hint of praise in his tone. Second-level evolver, the direction of evolution is agility. It seems that you are doing well in this world. Instructor. You. Wang Feng was a little surprised. It was fine to see that he was an agile evolver, but how could he also see that he was a second-level evolver? Are you the only one? Li Yingning saw Wang Feng's surprised look, but did not explain, but asked again. No, Wang Feng shook his head. I am with Xiao Lei, and I have established a base. There are about 80,000 people in the base. It is in Ganlin County. It has just been established. Now we are searching and cleaning up the surrounding areas of Ganlin County. After Wang Feng briefly talked about the establishment of his base, he talked about the reason why he came here, because someone reported yesterday that they saw an evolver in a workshop on the side of the mountain. I wanted to come and see it, but I didn't find it. I went to the mountain to search by myself, and I didn't expect to meet you. The group of people yesterday were your men. Li Yingning seemed to be a little surprised in his voice. But compared to Li Yingning, Wang Feng was shocked. He looked at Li Yingning carefully from head to toe, and then asked hesitantly, Instructor, instructor. You are the Apostle Paul. Wang Feng squeezed out the last 4 words from his teeth with almost all his strength. Yes. They saw me. Li Yingning nodded and said, Is it strange? Wang Feng felt that his brain had become sluggish. Li Yingning admitted that he was the Apostle Paul. This situation made Wang Feng no longer care about Luo Keiying's description of Li Yingning's appearance. His instructor, the cold-blooded soldier who frightened the enemy and made his own people tremble with fear, turned into the Apostle Paul. Will the end of the world change a person's character? Wang Feng's brain is basically in a state of freezing now. What is your ability? Li Yingning did not explain her transformation, but continued to ask Wang Feng. Perhaps it was a habit from the past. Wang Feng immediately answered the instructor's question, the wind that increases speed, the sky eye that can increase the visual range, and a weapon that can transform and have the ability to store space and the ability to purify the strengthening liquid. Wang Feng spoke out all his abilities in one breath. Of course, he also said that Tiankai's ability was his own ability. It was not because he did not trust Li Yingning, but now he had already regarded the statement as true, so as not to let it slip out of his mouth when he was careless. Tiankai's secret must not be exposed in any case. So many? It seems that you are lucky. No wonder you can escape from Xiaosong's attack. Li Yingning nodded, and then said, come on. Come out and let me see your ability. After that, Li Yingning no longer paid attention to Wang Feng, but turned and walked out. Wang Feng had no choice but to follow him. He knew the character of his instructor. Generally, if he did not take the initiative to explain to you, it would be useless for you to ask, so Wang Feng's doubts could only be suppressed in his heart. After coming outside, Li Yingning walked to a distance of about 10 meters from Wang Feng, and nodded to Wang Feng, start attacking me. Use your full strength. Full strength. Wang Feng was a little nervous. He didn't know Li Yingning's true ability. Although Luo Kaying said that Li Yingning, that is, the Apostle Paul in his mouth, should be a second-level evolver like Wang Feng didn't know whether he would hurt his instructor when he exploded. Why? Afraid of hurting me? Li Yingning's face rarely showed a smile. Come on. Let me see how far you, a rookie, have grown. Don't let me down. Seeing the smile on Li Yingning's face, Wang Feng gathered his mind and looked at the devil instructor in front of him seriously. Then, he suddenly retreated, and when he waved his right hand, the bow of apocalypse had already appeared in his hand. In an instant, 12 feather arrows with cold tips had already flown towards Li Yingning like lightning. Huh, Li Yingning seemed a little surprised, but then the long stick in his hand danced in front of him, and the 12 feather arrows infused with ice power were easily broken by Li Yingning, and fell at his feet. Wang Feng certainly did not think that his first wave of attack could hurt Li Yingning, so just as these 12 arrows fell to the ground, another 48 arrows had already arrived in front of Li Yingning, and the angles and speeds of these 48 arrows were different. The most terrifying thing is that these 48 arrows all carry the frost power, and the area covered has already blocked all the dodge angles of Li Yingning. Unless Li Yingning also has the wind power like Wang Feng, and can quickly retreat faster than the arrows, otherwise, I am afraid that he will not be able to dodge this attack. Wang Feng didn't know whether Li Yingning had the ability of swift wind, because Li Yingning didn't even move his position. He flipped the long stick up and down in his hand, and with the dodging action of his body at the same time, he actually dodged Wang Feng's 48 feather arrows. Just after Li Yingning knocked the last feather arrow away and stood up straight, he suddenly found that a pure white feather arrow, as if made entirely of frost, had quietly arrived in front of his chest. Because the distance was too close, it seemed impossible to dodge. It turned out that this was Wang Feng's real killer. The previous 2 waves of arrows were covering for this ice arrow, especially the second wave of 48 arrows, at least half of which were used to block Li Yingning's sight, so that he could not see the last ice arrow. Just when Wang Feng thought that Li Yingning would definitely not be able to dodge this time and was about to step forward to absorb the ice energy to avoid freezing his instructor, he was shocked to find that his ice arrow suddenly disappeared, and Li Yingning just stood there, looking at him with some disappointment in his eyes. Wang Feng couldn't believe his eyes, and even at such a close distance, he directly activated the Sky Eye and looked at Li Yingning's chest. The chest, which should have been covered with a piece of white at this moment, now had an extra hand. It was Li Yingning's left hand that had been behind his back since Wang Feng started attacking. At this time, this left hand was blocking his chest, with the palm facing outward, facing Wang Feng. It seemed that Li Yingning used this hand to block Wang Feng's ice arrow, but the strange thing was that this left hand now seemed to have no abnormality, and even the shadow of frost could not be seen. Where did his ice arrow go? Could it be that the instructor also had a space? And used this space to take away his ice arrow? Wang Feng stood there in a daze. Xiao Feng. Is this your attack? You haven't even used 1/10 of your own power, and you dare to call this a full-strength attack, Li Yingning said calmly, and shook her head gently. It seems that you are alive now not because of your strength, but because of luck. You should go back to the training, otherwise, if you continue like this, I don't think you can go far. Doomsday Special Forces. Author, Huanjing Chengzu. Chapter 134. Wang Feng did not feel angry or wronged when he heard Li Yingning's almost reprimanding words, but stood at attention just like when he was trained by the devil instructor before, and answered loudly, yes. It was just because of the doubts in his heart that although Wang Feng maintained the posture of standing at attention and his face was more serious, his eyes were still fixed on Li Yingning's palm on his chest. Feeling Wang Feng's gaze, Li Yingning put down his left hand, waved it gently, and said calmly, wonderful where your ice arrow went? This is my ability, Devour. My evolutionary direction is strength and agility, and I have only one ability, which is Devour. I can devour life energy of any attribute. Your ice arrow is condensed by mutated ice attribute energy, so it is ineffective against me. My ability does not need to be activated. It is a passive ability. Not only can it absorb attacks of life energy, but I can also absorb the life energy of the life forms killed by me, whether they are zombies or mutant beasts, even plants and humans. Li Yingning's explanation surprised Wang Feng. This ability seemed to be very close to his own apocalypse. He just didn't know if the instructor could convert the life energy he absorbed into potions like apocalypse for others to use. Thinking of this, Wang Feng took out a strengthening potion and threw it to Li Yingning, instructor. I also have your devouring ability, but I can extract the devoured life energy into such a potion for other people to use. Carefully took the strengthening potion thrown by Wang Feng, opened the bottle cap, and then looked at it carefully, and then put it under his nose to smell it. Li Yingning said with some surprise, very pure life energy, it seems that your ability is stronger than my devouring. Carefully threw the strengthening potion to Wang Feng, make good use of your ability, the life energy devoured by my devouring ability can only be used to strengthen myself, or to recover from my injuries, and even if there is enough life energy, I can even repair my own limbs. It's just that I can't transfer this energy to others, so your ability is more suitable for a troop. I think this is also the basis for you to build a base. Yes, instructor, Wang Feng nodded, then looked at Li Yingning and asked expectantly, instructor. I wonder if you. Let's talk about this later. Let's talk about your own problem first. Li Yingning interrupted Wang Feng with a wave of his hand, did you use all your strength in the attack just now? Wang Feng was stunned for a moment. Although he didn't dare to say that he had used 100% of his trump cards just now, all his abilities had been activated, including the wind, the eye of the sky, and the ice energy. The only shortcoming might be that the angle and time of the arrow were not as perfect as when he rescued Zhao Taihan last time. But at least Wang Feng felt that he had tried his best and didn't hide any killer moves. Oh. By the way, if the last ice arrow was replaced with the Blade of Apocalypse, Li Yingning might not be so easy to take. But if it was the Blade of Apocalypse, would Li Yingning use her hands to catch it again? Who knows if Li Yingning has any other means? You know, Li Yingning didn't even move his position just now, let alone fight back. He just passively resisted Wang Feng's attack. Instructor. I really used all my strength just now, Wang Feng said honestly. No. You didn't, Li Yingning shook her head gently, unless you tell me that you have already given me back what I taught you before. What skills did I teach you? Why don't I remember teaching you archery? This hunting thing is your main attack method now? Think carefully about what I taught you before, and then do it again. Call me when you are ready. After speaking, Li Yingning turned and walked towards the wooden house, and threw another sentence to Wang Feng, Xiao Song will not hurt you, you can recover your strength near it. Until Li Yingning entered the wooden house, Wang Feng still stood there, thinking about what Li Yingning said before. It seems that Li Yingning is very dismissive of his bow and arrow skills. Isn't it the best to have long-range weapons in this Doomsday? After Wang Feng stood there blankly for nearly an hour, he finally figured it out. He saw that his originally confused eyes gradually brightened up at this time, and then, with a move of his right hand, the bow of Apocalypse instantly turned into the blade of Apocalypse. Swoosh! Whoosh! Whoosh! Wang Feng's figure moved, and the Apocalypse blade in his right hand kept slashing in the air as he flashed. The moves were simple and direct, and the angles were tricky and fierce. Although there was no enemy in front of him, Wang Feng still exuded a murderous aura that was almost condensed into substance when he waved the dagger. As if sensing this murderous aura, Li Yingning also walked out of the wooden house. When he saw the Apocalypse blade in Wang Feng's hand, the pupils in his eyes suddenly contracted, but then returned to normal and became emotionless again. Well, finally, I haven't forgotten everything, but the murderous aura is still too heavy. When can you restrain all the murderous aura in your body, then you will be worthy of the name of Dark Thorn. After watching for a while, Li Yingning said to Wang Feng softly. His last words answered a question that Wang Feng had hidden in his heart for a long time. At that time, he was considered the best in training, but after the training camp, Wang Feng asked Li Yingning if he could join the Dark Thorns. Li Yingning didn't answer him at all, but left as if he hadn't heard anything. Now Wang Feng knows that he was not even qualified to get the answer at that time. In other words, when he just finished the training and confidently believed that he was an elite among the soldiers, he was not even qualified to know the conditions for entering the undercover. Thinking of this, Wang Feng couldn't help but feel a little ashamed, but then he cheered up again and looked at Li Yingning eagerly, because Li Yingning said that he would do it again. When Li Yingning saw Wang Feng's gaze, she shook her head gently and said, "No need, you can't threaten me now, come with me." After finishing speaking, Li Yingning turned around and left without giving Wang Feng a chance to ask questions. Wang Feng did not dare to neglect and quickly got up and chased Li Yingning. Li Yingning was very fast. Although he had dual attributes of strength and agility, Wang Feng, an evolver with only one attribute of agility, could only keep up with Li Yingning without activating the blast. No wonder Luo Kaying said he couldn't catch up. Li Yingning kept running at this extreme speed for more than half an hour before he stopped. It seemed that he was very familiar with this mountain forest. During the extremely fast travel just now, he did not encounter any mutant plants or animals. A mutant beast. After stopping, Li Yingning pointed to a cave about 100 meters ahead and said to Wang Feng, "Go. There is a mutant beast in that cave. Go kill it. Remember, you can't activate your wind power. No weapons other than your dagger are allowed." Wang Feng looked at Li Yingning doubtfully, but did not speak. He just nodded, and then walked towards the cave. He knew that as long as the instructor decided something, no one else's words would matter. After cautiously approaching the cave, Wang Feng quietly communicated with Tiankai in his heart, "Apocalypse. Don't start the detection now. From now on, without your help, you just need to absorb the life energy and alien energy of this mutant beast in the end. Understand?" "Okay." Tiankai's answer was extremely concise. After Wang Feng told Tiankai not to help him, he opened his sky eye and walked into the cave. With the help of his sky eye, Wang Feng could see the scene in the cave clearly. The cave was not very deep, only less than 20 meters. There were no twists and turns, so Wang Feng saw the mutant beast Li Yingning mentioned at a glance. This is a lynx, a fast-growing lynx, and a type of cat. Before the end of the world, it was a relatively ferocious carnivore. Now it has become a mutant beast. Wang Feng dare not take it lightly, especially before he became an evolver. "I almost died in the hands of a cat, so I am even more focused now." Of course, the lynx also noticed Wang Feng's intrusion, but it did not immediately rush up to teach the intruder who broke into its territory without permission. Instead, it looked at Wang Feng vigilantly, lowered its body, and made preparations. The action of pounce. The face of this lynx is somewhat similar to that of a cat. There is a tuft of hair on each of the two pointed ears. The dark brown body is full of spots, a bit like a leopard, but the body of this lynx has not changed much due to mutation, and is about the same size as an ordinary shepherd dog. Wang Feng held the blade of apocalypse in his right hand, half-crouched, and slowly approached the lynx. When he was less than 5 meters away from the lynx finally couldn't hold it in any longer and turned its body downwards. It sank, and then rushed toward Wang Feng like lightning. Since this lynx is also a cat, Wang Feng had long expected that it would also be an agile biochemical beast, so he had already prepared for it. Since Li Yingning did not allow him to activate the blast, Wang Feng did not plan to use the speed to speed up the lynx. Compete with this lynx. He spotted the direction in which the lynx was coming. The moment the lynx approached him, he dodged to the left and waved the apocalypse in his hand towards the lynx's right paw. When the lynx saw Apocalypse's attack, the nails hidden in its right claw suddenly appeared and grabbed at Apocalypse. Chiang, the sound of metal and iron mingled, accompanied by a scream from the lynx and a few drops of blood splashing in the air. Doomsday Special Forces. Author, Huanjing Chengzhu. Chapter 135. After the first round of attacks, the positions of Wang Feng and lynx changed, from the middle of the cave to both sides of the cave, with the walls of the cave behind them. However, Wang Feng was still unscathed, and lynx's one of the 5 sharp nails in the right front paw was missing. However, it seems that mutant beasts have some self-healing ability. The wound of the cut nail no longer bleeds, and seems to be blocked by a secreted colloid. The injured lynx did not immediately launch a counterattack, but crouched on the ground, staring at Wang Feng with a pair of fierce eyes, but occasionally glanced at the apocalypse in Wang Feng's hand. Maybe this lynx has understood that the biggest threat to it at present is this gleaming dagger. After walking around twice and finding that Wang Feng had been following him, the lynx finally launched an attack on Wang Feng again. This time the lynx learned the lesson from the previous attack and did not pounce directly. Instead, it rushed directly from the ground and attacked Wang Feng's left leg. Perhaps it was because this was the farthest place from Tiankai's position, so it was attacked by the lynx. The lynx became the first target of attack. Wang Feng squatted down in a lunge, withdrew his left leg, lowered his body, and passed Tiankai in his right hand directly to the left and right, and rode towards the lynx again. Since there was no volley this time, the lynx's body was much more flexible. The moment Tiankai paddled towards it, the lynx's body suddenly changed from a very fast advance to a still state without any warning, as if it suddenly appeared in front of it. It seemed like a transparent wall was blocking it. This situation that completely violated mechanics was obviously beyond Wang Feng's expectation. The blade of apocalypse, which he thought was a sure hit, almost passed by the tip of the lynx's nose. After Apocalypse passed in front of the lynx, the stationary lynx moved again, and the target turned out to be Wang Feng's head. Almost right in front of the lynx when Apocalypse had just swung, the lynx jumped up directly, with its 2 front paws facing each other. Wang Feng's face was scratched hard. At this time, it was too late for Wang Feng to withdraw Tiankai to defend himself. In the critical situation, he thrust his right hand on the ground and rolled his whole body to the right, trying to avoid the lynx's attack. Tear, the sound of tearing silk rang out. Although Wang Feng reacted quickly, his left shoulder was still caught by the lynx's right claw, and his clothes were torn directly. Fortunately, the lynx's nails were only the ones where the front ends were parallel. 4 grabbed Wang Feng's shoulders. Moreover, this front paw had been injured by Tiankai before. Although it stopped bleeding, the 2 nails that were cut off in the middle did not grow back immediately, so the lynx only left 2 wounds on Wang Feng's shoulder. After the lynx injured Wang Feng, it did not stop. Instead, it chose to pursue the victory. Its flying body rushed towards the wall behind Wang Feng, touched the wall lightly, turned around and rushed towards Wang Feng again. Wang Feng had no time to look at his wounds, or even get up. He rolled to his left side again, avoiding the lynx's attack. After rolling to avoid the lynx's attack, Wang Feng didn't even have a chance to breathe before he found that the lynx had appeared in front of him again. This time, the lynx was still flying in the air, and its target was still Wang Feng's face. Wang Feng couldn't help but be furious. Although he didn't activate the blast and his speed was much slower than that of a lynx, being bullied by a beast into a situation where he didn't even have a chance to breathe also made Wang Feng feel angry. Especially at this time, Li Yingning was standing at the entrance of the cave watching their battle. Although he didn't say anything, Wang Feng knew that his performance must be unqualified in the eyes of the instructor. Seeing the lynx coming from the air, Wang Feng became heartbroken and simply stopped avoiding. He held Tiankai in his right hand and thrust towards the lynx's face. "I'll fight," Wang Feng thought to himself. Anyway, he has Tiankai to recover from his injuries. Besides, the lynx's forearm is not as long as Wang Feng, and the nails are still a little shorter than Wang Feng's arm. Moreover, Wang Feng still has Tiankai in his hand. Although the targets of both sides are faces, Wang Feng is sure that he will be injured at most, maybe seriously. But once the lynx is hit by apocalypse, he can only prepare to face death. Just when Wang Feng made up his mind to lose both sides, the lynx did not want to die with Wang Feng. Just when apocalypse was about to approach it, the lynx's body suddenly twisted strangely. With its movement, lynx once again broke the rules of this world. The lynx's body did not rely on any external force in the air. It actually relied on its own ability to complete a change of direction in the air, from jumping forward to flying sideways. It took advantage of the situation to grab it with its left paw and hit Wang Feng's arm. 4 wounds were left on his body, and he knocked Tiankai away from Wang Feng's hand. Moreover, after the lynx finished this action, its body that had just started flying sideways turned around again and turned into a forward pounce for some unknown reason, continuing to pounce toward Wang Feng's face from the left. Both claws pressed against Wang Feng's shoulders, and he opened his big mouth to reveal the 4 sharp fangs inside. The lynx's eyes flashed with a violent aura. In its eyes, Wang Feng was already dead, and the weapon was hit. Fei, his claws are about to put on the opponent's shoulders. In the next moment, his fangs will be firmly at the throat of this intruder, letting him know the consequences of trespassing on his territory. Puff. Puff, as the 2 sounds rang out, Wang Feng and the lynx both fell to the ground. The lynx pressed Wang Feng down, with its claws still on Wang Feng's shoulders, its nails piercing into his flesh, its open mouth resting near Wang Feng's neck, and its 2 fangs just a fraction away from touching Wang Feng's skin. But now the lynx was no longer in any danger, because the apocalypse in Wang Feng's right hand had already pierced into the lynx's brain from its eye sockets. The remaining eye of the lynx had lost its spirit, staring at Wang Feng woodenly. As if it was a copy of the previous killing of the black cat, at the moment when the lynx grabbed the apocalypse and flew away, Wang Feng's injured right arm had already turned back, and his right hand clenched into a fist and knocked on the lynx's head, recalling the apocalypse at the same time. Apocalypse was the only weapon on Wang Feng that could cause fatal damage to the lynx. The lynx had already seen this clearly. Therefore, after slapping Apocalypse away, the lynx showed all its abilities without hesitation and turned from the air again, intending to kill Wang Feng completely. When Apocalypse appeared in front of it and zoomed in at a high speed, the lynx naturally felt its own crisis, but its ability could only change direction twice in a row in the air, and it had already used up all of it. If it wanted to change direction again, it had to land and accumulate power. At this time, it was powerless. Wang Feng put the lynx, who was killed by the weirdness of Apocalypse, into the Apocalypse space, then climbed up from the ground and walked towards the cave entrance. After Apocalypse advanced to the second stage, the speed of absorbing life energy accelerated again, and this lynx was only a second-level peak mutant beast, and had not entered the ranks of third-level creatures, so the life energy and mutant energy in its body had been completely absorbed by Apocalypse at this time. Wang Feng stood in front of Li Yingning with some shame on his face. After the lynx died, Wang Feng had asked Tian Kai about the level of the lynx. Although this lynx was one level higher than Wang Feng, since Li Yingning asked him to kill the lynx, it meant that Li Yingning believed that Wang Feng had the ability to kill the mutant beast. Although he had completed the task assigned to him by the instructor, Wang Feng knew that his performance would definitely not satisfy Li Yingning, even though Li Yingning had no expression now. "Follow me." Li Yingning did not make any comments on Wang Feng's battle, but turned around and left again. Wang Feng did not dare to neglect and hurriedly followed, and asked Tian Kai to repair his body immediately. He knew that maybe Li Yingning was taking him to kill another mutant beast. Li Yingning's speed did not slow down because of Wang Feng's injury, and he still maintained the previous speed, which made Wang Feng a little depressed. Fortunately, he did not consume too much physical strength in the previous battle with the lynx. The battle just now did not last long, because Wang Feng and the lynx were both agile, competing in speed, and life and death often took place in that moment. If it were not for Tian Kai's ability to recall at any time, Wang Feng might have become the food of this mutant beast at this time. Although Li Yingning was standing at the entrance of the cave, Wang Feng did not think that Li Yingning would take action when he was in danger of life, because Li Yingning always believed that only at the critical moment of life and death would humans break through their own limits. When he first met Li Yingning, he told them that this group of trainees, who were all rookies in his eyes, would die in his training, and he had a 20% mortality index, that is, as long as the mortality rate of the trainees participating in the training did not exceed 20%, he would not have to worry at all. Facts have proved that his words are correct. Of the 95 trainees who participated in the special training, 15 were eliminated because of losing their lives during the training process. Li Yingning took Wang Feng to run in the mountains for more than 20 minutes again, and then a lynx appeared in front of them again. It seems that Li Yingning is very familiar with this Black Dragon Mountain. Including the first lynx, Li Yingning seemed to have known their existence for a long time. He took Wang Feng without any search process at all, and came directly to the location of the two mutant beasts. This lynx was not in the cave, but crouched on a tree, looking at the two invaders with fierce eyes. Its body size was slightly larger than the previous one, and its fur color was also gray, without any spots. Only the two tufts of hair on its pointed ears proved that it belonged to the same species as the lynx killed by Wang Feng before. Wang Feng took a deep breath and was about to take a few steps forward to kill the lynx, but Li Yingning suddenly said, "Watch out. I'll take this one." You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Doomsday Special Forces. Author, Huanjing Chengzhu. Chapter 136. Wang Feng was stunned for a moment, and then realized that this was Li Yingning preparing to tell him how to deal with the mutated beasts in actual combat. Unconsciously, his heart was lifted, and he looked at Li Yingning with all his attention. Li Yingning didn't make any special gesture, she just dragged her long stick towards the big tree where the lynx was, without even raising her head to look at the lynx above. Regarding Li Yingning's approach, the lynx did not make any sound as a warning. Perhaps it thought that since it was coming to the door, it was its prey. However, this man with no trace of alertness in his body was really it. Prey. When the distance between Li Yingning and the lynx shortened to nearly 5 meters, the lynx finally launched an attack. It kicked its hind legs on the branch where it was crouching, and rushed towards Li Yingning's head condescendingly. The nails on the front paws have been poked out, shining with a cold light. Poof! Just when Wang Feng focused his attention and prepared to watch the exciting battle between the general and the lynx, a dull knocking sound sounded, and the battle ended just as it started. The long stick in Li Yingning's hand hit the lynx's head accurately. The lynx fell to the ground in the direction of the stick. An obvious depression appeared on its head, and it lay motionless on the ground without knowing whether it was alive or dead. This. Wang Feng's eyes widened and he looked at the lynx on the ground, and then his surprised eyes fell on Li Yingning. From the speed at which the lynx pounced down just now, Wang Feng knew that this lynx was absolutely no worse than the lynx he killed. And after the lynx was killed by Li Yingning with one blow, Wang Feng immediately checked with Tian Kai and learned that this lynx was stronger than the one just now and had already entered the category of third-level creatures. Although it had just entered, it's a third-level creature, but it's a real third-level creature after all. Li Yingning stretched out her long stick and reached under the lynx. Then she picked up the lynx and threw it towards Wang Feng. "It's not dead yet, kill it." Wang Feng did not hesitate. He showed Tian Kai and thrust it into the lynx's head. He was not polite to Li Yingning. He knew Li Yingning's temper. You can take what is given to you. It is useless to ask for what is not given to you. This time, Wang Feng did not start from the eye socket of the lynx, but directly stabbed the skull of the lynx that Apocalypse was facing, because he wanted to test the strength of the lynx's skull. The moment Apocalypse penetrated the lynx's skull, Wang Feng's face instantly became solemn. Apocalypse penetrated the lynx's skull for nearly 2 inches before it was stuck. You must know that Wang Feng used all his strength this time, and the sharpness of Apocalypse upgraded to the 2nd level, but he still couldn't pierce it at once. The lynx's head is enough to show how strong the lynx's skull is. But even with such a strong skull, it still could not withstand Li Yingning's long stick. It was hit with an obvious dent. Although its skull was not shattered, who knows whether Li Yingning poured out all his strength. Moreover, the long stick is a blunt instrument without any edge. It relies on pure strength to beat the lynx's skull into the shape. Recalling Li Yingning's stick just now, although there was nothing fancy and it didn't look amazing, it was just such an ordinary blow that killed the lynx. This stick was specially shown to Wang Feng by Li Yingning. Yes, it is the perfect combination of strength and speed. Originally, Wang Feng believed that his future evolutionary direction should be to move closer to agility and rely on his own speed to fight. Li Yingning obviously saw this, but he did not directly tell Wang Feng's mistake, but used this perfect one blow to point out Wang Feng's misunderstanding. After watching Wang Feng put the lynx's body into the space, Li Yingning slowly said, "The only martial arts in the world that can't be broken is fast." This saying is true, but the premise is that you must have enough strength to support your attack. This is the end of the world, not a game. Agility cannot increase your attack strength. The only thing that can increase your attack strength is strength. Especially these biochemical beasts. Almost every one of them is made of copper skin and iron bones. They have no strength. Attacks can't harm them at all. 10,000 ping-pong balls hitting someone will not cause as much damage as an iron ball. You stay here for a week, and I will give you a break. Otherwise, if you go out, you will not only be embarrassed, but you will also lose your life. After saying that, Li Yingning turned around and left, ignoring Wang Feng and leaving no instructions. She just walked away minding her own business. Wang Feng hesitated for a moment, but immediately followed him. He knew that if he didn't follow, Li Yingning would never come back to him, but it would probably be difficult for him to see Li Yingning again in the future. At least he would enter that camping room. Don't go. Not to mention that he couldn't deal with the pine tree at the door. Now that he knew the relationship between this tree and Li Yingning, Wang Feng didn't dare to touch it even if he could kill it. Wang Feng thought about it and found that although the base had just started, it was not far behind him. The strengthening potion left behind would definitely be enough to last for a week. Even if it was not enough, Doomsday would have other methods, and he had already followed him when he left. Doomsday said that it might be delayed for a while. Therefore, Doomsday will not worry too much about himself, let alone send people into the mountains to find him, because if he is in danger, others will also die if they come. Doomsday will never do such a mindless thing. Moreover, less than half a day after meeting the instructor, 2 mutated beasts have already been acquired, so what about a week later? How many will there be? The most important thing is, How much will you grow after a week of training with an instructor? The instructor's blow just now had completely suppressed Wang Feng. Wang Feng was still not sure about Li Yingning's strength, but Wang Feng could clearly see the attack Li Yingning made just now. Maybe his strength is not up to the level of the instructor, but Li Yingning's speed just now is what Wang Feng can achieve without using the strong wind. The most important thing is that Li Yingning mastered the timing and angle of the stick just right. It looked like the lynx banged its head against the long stick in Li Yingning's hand. And now Wang Feng is still trying to drag Li Yingning to the base. Let's not talk about Li Yingning's combat power, but mainly his ability to train soldiers. If Li Yingning is willing to help Wang Feng train his guardian army, then the growth of those soldiers will increase geometrically. This is the most important thing for the base, and Wang Feng will certainly not let go of the opportunity in front of him. He followed Li Yingning with all his strength. Li Yingning naturally knew Wang Feng's decision, but did not look back, but slightly changed the direction of travel. It seemed that if Wang Feng did not follow, maybe Li Yingning would go back to his wooden house directly. Go. Li Yingning didn't speak, and Wang Feng naturally didn't speak either. No matter where Li Yingning wanted to take him, he just had to follow him. While following Li Yingning, the wounds on his body were slowly healing, and his physical strength was gradually recovering. Wang Feng doesn't know what kind of training he will face. Maybe he will face a powerful mutant beast again next moment. Regarding Li Yingning's training, Wang Feng does not dare to be careless at all. In the next week, he will definitely be you may face the call of death at any time. Li Yingning once again led Wang Feng to the front of a cave and said calmly, "There is a mutant beast here, a bear, a power type. Kill it, and then absorb its life energy to increase your strength." After finishing speaking, Li Yingning once again stood there motionless as before. Wang Feng didn't know why Li Yingning was so familiar with this mountain, as if he knew every mutant beast here. He just finished talking about his strength was insufficient, so he took him to find a power mutant beast. However, Wang Feng didn't ask any more questions. He knew that asking would be in vain and basically he wouldn't even get a response, so Wang Feng just responded, "Yes." After that, he walked to the entrance of the cave, summoned the second form of Apocalypse, then bent his bow and set an arrow, and shot 6 feather arrows into the depths of the cave. He knew that Li Yingning didn't like to use bows and arrows to fight, but what Wang Feng wanted to do now was just to lure the bear out. Since the instructor said that the bear inside was a powerful mutant beast, naturally Wang Feng wouldn't. Foolish enough to run into a narrow cave to fight it? After Yujian entered the cave, an angry roar came from inside. Along with the roar, a bear that stood 4 meters tall jumped out of the cave. Seemingly annoyed at being disturbed, Xiong came out and pounced on Wang Feng when he saw him. Without any pause or probing, he directly launched an attack. Wang Feng instantly converted the bow of Apocalypse into the blade of Apocalypse, and rushed forward to fight the bear. Li Yingning on the side saw the transformation process of Apocalypse, and her eyes suddenly fluctuated, but she soon regained her composure. Although this bear is a powerful mutant beast, it is not clumsy. Seeing Wang Feng approaching, it seemed to be irritated. It stood up and swung its huge bear paws like cattail leaf fans at Wang Feng. Coming. Of course Wang Feng would not be photographed by it. This time Li Yingning only asked him to kill the bear and absorb its life energy, and did not impose any restrictions on him. Therefore, Wang Feng directly launched the attack when he came up. Blast! After dodging the giant palm of the bear, Wang Feng jumped up and rushed towards the bear's head. The blade of Apocalypse in his hand stabbed its eyes. The bear seemed to know how powerful Apocalypse was, and the other bear's paw quickly came back to intercept it. And took a photo at Wang Feng. Wang Feng didn't want to lose both sides. You know, this hell week of his return had just begun. He didn't want to get hurt at this time, so he gave up attacking the bear, tapped the bear's paw with his toes, and flew forward. To the side. Doomsday Special Forces. Author, Huanjing Chengzhu. Chapter 137. At night, silence enveloped the Hope Base. Two searchlights at the south gate kept patrolling back and forth, monitoring the surroundings of the community. Duan stood at the gate, looking at the stars in the sky, silent. Since entering the end of the world, the night sky seems to be getting clearer and clearer. The originally dark night sky has gradually become more and more stars, and the Milky Way, which has not been seen for a long time, has once again shown its beautiful image to the world. But at this moment, Duan did not have the mind to appreciate this beautiful starry sky. His frown showed that he was not in a relaxed mood at this time. An exploration team lost contact with the base. If they did not return tonight, it meant that the exploration team had encountered an accident. The exploration teams of the Hope Base had clear regulations, and the return date was determined at the time of departure, and it could not exceed this date by 2 days at the latest. And Ximen Lianying's expedition team has not returned to the team for the third day today, and no one has come back to pass on the message to explain the situation, so there is only one possibility, that they encountered an accident. Ximen Lianying is a second-level enhancer and one of the few female enhancers. It is said that she was a bodybuilding coach before the end of the world. She is about 23 or 24 years old, with a hot body and a sweet appearance. The most important thing is that her skills are quite good. In the end of the world, a girl can become a second-level enhancer, which explains everything. It is hoped that the exploration team of the base will be led by a third-level or second-level enhancer, with 10 first-level enhancers and 10 ordinary people. This configuration can not only ensure their combat effectiveness, but also upgrade those guardian warriors who have not yet become enhancers to enhancers as soon as possible. The search direction of Ximen Lianying's search team is Jianguan Town, which is where the mutant zombie appeared. After the zombie tide was destroyed, the entire Jianguan Town basically has no zombies. It can be said that it is cleaner than anywhere else. Because the zombies left under the call of the mutant zombie, only those zombies who were locked in the room or some narrow place and could not get out were left. To deal with these scattered zombies, not to mention Ximen Lianying, even an ordinary guardian warrior can easily kill them. But it was their search team, which should be the safest, that had an accident. In Duan's speculation, they probably did not heed his warning, approached the sea without authorization, and were attacked by mutant beasts in the sea, thus losing contact. But even if they were attacked by mutant beasts in the sea, there shouldn't be no one running back to pass on the news. Each search team is equipped with 21 people, only 20 combat personnel, and the other one does not act with the search team, but follows far behind. In this way, when the search team in front encounters an unexpected situation, the person behind can come back immediately to ask for help and explain the situation. Several teams were rescued by the base when they were surrounded by a large number of zombies because someone reported the news, so they did not suffer too much loss. Although the search teams that encountered accidents still lost some guards due to the problem of rescue time, at least no team has been wiped out. Now Ximen Lianying's search team has exceeded the return time by 3 days, and no information has been fed back. This is the first time that such a situation has occurred in the Hope Base. Duan can't help but feel anxious. Just today during the day, Duan has sent a search team to Jianguan Town to search for Ximen Lianying's team. However, this search team led by Zhang Xiong, a third-level enhancer, has also lost contact and has not returned yet. As early as when they set out, Duan told them to search in Jianguan Town and never get close to the seaside. If they don't find anything, they should come back first. Now the loss of contact between the two search teams completely let Duan know that something must have happened in Jianguan Town, but now it is night, and he can't send anyone to Jianguan Town. He can only wait until dawn and let Lu Feng and Lu Qiang lead the team to take a look. At this time, it has been 8 days since Wang Feng followed Luo Keiying to find the Apostle Paul. Luo Keiying returned on the same day. As for Wang Feng's whereabouts, he couldn't say clearly, only saying that he went in the direction of Black Dragon Mountain. Duan Lei was not that worried about Wang Feng. Although he did not know the existence of Tiankai, Duan Lei knew that Wang Feng would not take risks easily. Moreover, when Wang Feng left, he also told him that he might be delayed for a few days and was going to search in the mountains. Lu Feng woke up the day before yesterday and successfully became an evolver, while Zhang Xiu woke up a day earlier than him, which means that in addition to Wang Feng and Lu Qiang, there are 2 more evolvers in the Hope Base now. This is also the reason why Duan Lei plans to send 2 evolvers to Jianguan Town to search and rescue Ximen Lianying and Zhang Xiong at dawn. After all, Zhang Xiu is from Lu Wanting's side, and Duan Lei can't command her at will, so he simply lets her stay in the base to replace Lu Qiang. In this way, Lu Qiang and Lu Feng can get out of it and don't have to stay at the base all the time. After more than a week of busy work and reorganization, the Hope Base has now taken shape, the planting of crops has begun, and the mountain of corpses on the other side of the Black Dragon Bridge has all been moved back. Except for some thrown to the willow tree, the rest were crushed by Duan Lei and used as fertilizer. Unexpectedly, the effect was quite good. After absorbing the flesh and blood of zombies, crops such as wheat and corn actually grew well. According to the agricultural expert, these 3 or 4 days were equivalent to the growth of normal crops for about a month. It seems that the flesh and blood of zombies can also accelerate the growth time of crops. This is definitely equivalent to a shot of cardiotonic for the Hope Camp. In this end of the world where food is severely scarce, a reliable and stable food source can definitely stabilize people's hearts. Staring blankly at the night sky for a long time, Duan Lei shook his head and slowly walked into the community, heading towards the clubhouse. Before he reached the clubhouse, a figure appeared in front of Duan Lei. It was Shen Yisan. Shen Yisan's current status in the base is no less than those 2nd and 3rd level enhancers, not only because she has been with Duan Lei since she was rescued by him. If it weren't for her strong management ability, Duan Lei might have let her choose some things she could do in the base to support herself like other survivors. In fact, a person can encounter many opportunities in his life, but when you see this opportunity, you must also have the ability to seize it. Shen Yishan undoubtedly seized her opportunity, which made her life reversed. She changed from a weak woman struggling on the edge of death to an important figure in the base. Shen Yishan had her own company before the end of the world. Although it was not very big, it was created by her own ability. After arriving at the base, her experience before the end of the world also made her feel at home here. She showed her talent in the allocation and management of personnel. The tasks assigned to her were completed without leaks, which made Duan Lei very satisfied. Duan Lei was stunned when he saw Shen Yishan, because he knew that Shen Yishan should have something to do when she appeared in front of him at this time, but apart from the 2 search teams, there seemed to be nothing else happening in the base. As for the Guardian Corps, Shen Yishan had never been in contact with it. It was not within her scope of responsibility, so Duan Lei looked at Shen Yishan with some doubts in his eyes. Xiao Lei. Can we chat? Shen Yishan walked towards Duan Lei. There was no special meaning on her beautiful face, because Duan Lei was only 22 years old, and Shen Yishan was 27 years old, so Shen Yishan called Duan Lei Xiao Lei. Of course, Sister Shen, just tell me what you want to say. Duan Lei nodded, then slightly deviated and walked towards the central square, because since Shen Yishan came to find him outside, it meant that she didn't want to talk about this matter in the club. Xiao Lei, I saw you standing at the south gate for a long time just now. Are you worried about Lianying and Lao Zhang? Shen Yishan took the lead in opening the topic. Well, I guess something happened. Even Lao Zhang didn't come back on time. I don't know what happened in Jianguan Town. Duan Lei nodded and expressed his thoughts. I don't think their lives should be in danger. Shen Yishan stopped and looked at Duan Lei and said. Why? Duan Lei was stunned and looked at Shen Yishan as well. However, after staring at that beautiful face for a while, Lei quickly lost his temper and turned his head to look at the willow tree in the central square a little unnaturally. As if she could see Lei's shyness, Shen Yishan smiled gently, and there was a hint of charm on her face, but Lei didn't notice it. I guessed, because if they were attacked by zombies or mutants, it would not be that neither of the two search teams had anyone to report back, and the one who led the team was Lao Zhang, a third-level enhancer, and Lao Zhang is always a smart person. He knew that something might have happened to Lianying and her team. With Lao Zhang's personality, he would definitely go to check the situation carefully. I think you asked him to find Lianying and her team because Lao Zhang is very smart and quite stable, right? Seeing Lei nod slightly, Shen Yisan continued to give her analysis, so I think that it is not zombies and mutants that can make a team like Lao Zhang not report back. Lei was stunned, and then his eyes flashed. He was too concerned and there were too many things in the base before, so he didn't think about this aspect for a while. Now, after Shen Yisan's reminder, Lei suddenly woke up. That's right, the only people who could prevent the experienced Zhang Xiong from sending anyone back to report the news should be humans, and the other party should still use Ximen Lianying and others to threaten Chen Xiong and make them surrender. Doomsday Special Forces. Author, Huanjing Chengzhu. Chapter 138. With Shen Yishan's reminder, Lei could even guess in his mind what the two search teams had gone through. It was probably that the other party had set a trap in advance to trap Ximen Lianying and the others, and then used Ximen Lianying and the others to Zhang Xiong arrived after threatening him, so Zhang Xiong didn't even have the chance to send back the people he used to report the message. Because after such a period of time, the Guardian Legion has developed trust in each other. At the same time, they will not watch their own people in danger without being indifferent. Only by threatening people who are also Guardian Legion soldiers will the person who reports the news be made. He didn't dare to leave, so he just surrendered. Although the person who reports the news will stay away from the search team for a certain distance, this is only prepared for zombies and mutant beasts. If the enemy is a human, then the soldier at the rear of the search team will definitely be found. Thinking of this, Lei felt enlightened and relieved at the same time. As long as the other party was a human being, Ximen Lianying and Zhang Xiong should not be killed immediately, and the people who can appear in Jianguan town now should be the same as Wu Yongqing. Guys are somewhat related. Wu Yongqing and the others had left in the direction of Jianguan town before. When Lei arranged the search team, he had forgotten about these people and did not remind Ximen Lianying and Zhang Xiong. If this time is really directed by Wu Yongqing, Lei does not have to worry about the safety of Ximen Lianying and Zhang Xiong, because Wu Yongqing is very clear about the power on their side. He will never dare to hurt people in the base. He should want to use the people at the base to gain some benefits for yourself. It's just that Lei couldn't figure out how they subdued Ximen Lianying for the time being. Zhang Xiong's search team was easy to talk about. Lei believed that as long as Wu Yongqing pulled Ximen Lianying out and showed it to Zhang Xiong, it would be very possible for Zhang Xiong to be captured because of the trap. If you can't figure it out, just give it up. Lei plans to take Lu Feng and Lu Qiang to Jianguan town tomorrow to see who is still fighting at this time. Seeing Lei's eyes, Shen Yishan understood that Lei had already thought it through, so she smiled and said to Lei, Lianying is a very strong girl. After coming to the base, I talked to her. After entering the apocalypse, after that, as a girl, she did not sell her body and relied on her own strength to survive until now, and she also became a second-level enhancer. Lei nodded, well. It's really not easy for a woman at this point. Lei nodded, looked at Shen Yishan and said, actually, it's not easy for you either. It's all over. At least, I'm living a pretty good life now. Shen Yishan smiled sweetly, her beautiful eyes moving. Rest. There are still many things to do tomorrow, Lei said with a smile. Shen Yishan smiled softly, turned around and left first. After Shen Yishan left, Du Enlai did not return to the club immediately. Instead, he turned and looked at the willow tree in the center of the central square. He was silent for a long time, not knowing what he was thinking. At dawn the next day, the base was as lively as usual, and survivors were queuing up to receive breakfast at the door of each unit. Because there is no lighting at night, people in the base are now used to getting up immediately at dawn to prepare for work, and returning to their homes to prepare for rest after dark. Therefore, at dawn every day, there are survivors one after another in the base. Workers walk out of their units and prepare to start the day's work. Du Enlai is naturally no exception. In fact, he usually sleeps less than others. Because Wang Feng has not heard from Wang Feng in the past few days, even the Guardian Army's affairs are also on Du Enlai. Although Lu Feng woke up and helped Du Enlai deal with a lot of things, Du Enlai's daily tasks were still piling up, making Du Enlai feel like he was weak. At this time, at the entrance of the club, Du Enlai, Lu Qiang, Lu Feng, Luo Kaying and other core figures from the base had almost all arrived, including Lu Wanting and Shen Yishan. Because Du Enlai was going to take Lu Qiang and Lu Feng to Jianguan town to see the situation. As time went by, Ganlin County had been completely cleaned up by the Guardian Corps of Hope Base, and no zombies could be found anymore. And the engineering brigade is building a defensive wall that can surround the entire Ganlin County. It sounds like this project is very huge, but in fact the real workload is far less. Because Ganlin County is special, the surrounding factories almost surround Ganlin County, so they only need to connect all the walls of these factories. It can turn Ganlin County into a truly safe base for human survival. But this wall can play some role when ordinary zombies attack. For those enhanced zombies and mutant beasts, it doesn't make much difference whether there is such a wall or not. But Du Enlai still insisted on building this wall, because Du Enlai knew that once the wall was truly built, the survivors living in Ganlin County would truly feel at ease. In a sense, Du Enlai is equivalent to building a wall symbolizing safety in the hearts of these survivors. At this time, everyone in front of the club still had no unified opinion, because Du Enlai said that he also wanted to go to Jianguan town, but Lu Feng and Lu Qiang were firmly opposed. They thought that they didn't know what was happening in Jianguan town now, and Du Enlai didn't should take risks. Lu Feng and Lu Qiang both believed that since even the third-level enhancers were missing there, Du Enlai, as a second-level enhancer, should not put himself in danger. After all, for the Hope Base, the most important person now is Wang Feng. Outside is Du Enlai. Now that Wang Feng is missing outside, Du Enlai cannot have any accidents. Although everyone knows that Wang Feng will basically not have any accidents, but at least Du Enlai in the current Hope Base can determine the outcome with one word. Characters. It's not because Du Enlai is the person Wang Feng trusts the most, but since he came here, Du Enlai's role has been obvious to all. It can be said that the person who has contributed the most to the Hope Base is Du Enlai, so Du Enlai only has the second level of enhancement. A person with great strength has been recognized by everyone including the two evolvers Lu Qiang and Lu Feng. In Lu Feng's words, even if the Hope Base lost Lu Feng and Lu Qiang, it wouldn't be a big loss. But in the current situation without Wang Feng, if something unexpected happens to Du Enlai again, maybe the entire Hope Base will be destroyed in an instant. Falling apart. Just when everyone was at a stalemate, a guard warrior suddenly ran over. He was the sentry guarding the south gate. He ran quickly into the crowd, with a happy face, and shouted to Du Enlai, "Strategy. The head is back." When Du Enlai heard this, he immediately breathed a sigh of relief. He patted his forehead with his hand and said easily, "Okay. The madman is back. We don't have to fight anymore. I won't go even if I am asked to go now." After saying that, he was not going to greet Wang Feng at the door. Instead, he turned around and walked into the club to go about his own business. Although Du Enlai did not intend to greet Wang Feng, it did not mean that others thought so too. Except for Shen Yishan, she chuckled, nodded to Lu Wanting, pouted toward the south gate, gestured for Lu Wanting to come over to greet her, and then turned and walked into the club. Everyone else at the entrance of the clubhouse rushed to the south gate. Lu Wanting did not hesitate and followed the others towards the south gate. On the road leading to the community, a warrior military vehicle was driving in this direction. On the roof of the vehicle, a figure with a long bow on his back stood facing the wind. It was Wang Feng. Wang Feng stood on the roof of the vehicle with a long bow on his back, not because he wanted to show off, but because he was afraid that the people at the base would not recognize him and cause misunderstandings, because the windshield of the warrior military vehicle was mirrored and the people inside could not be seen from the outside. And now Wang Feng's image of carrying a long bow is probably known to everyone in the base, so he also carries the long bow on his body. Now the effect is really achieved. When the sentry saw a car coming towards him, when I was driving, I didn't even need binoculars. I just looked at the figure on the roof of the car and knew that it was Wang Feng who was back. The warrior military vehicle drove to the door and stopped in front of everyone. Wang Feng jumped out of the vehicle. After seeing that Duan Lei was not among the crowd, he immediately shouted loudly, "Where is Lei Zi?" "Madman," Lu Feng shouted and then came forward, looked into Wang Feng's eyes, took a deep breath and said, "Madman. I won't say more, anyway, my life is yours." After Lu Feng woke up, he learned from other people the reason why he not only did not die, but also became an enhancer. He locked himself up and thought about it alone for a day, and then ran out as if nothing was wrong. No one knew him. Know what he was thinking there. "Lao Lu. I saved you because you acted like a man at that time. You don't need to keep it in mind." "Where did Lei Zi go?" Wang Feng patted Lu Feng on the shoulder and asked casually. "Xiao Lei knew you were back, so he went to do his own business. He handles basically everything in this base, unlike you, who just takes care of it." Lu Feng also returned to normal, smiling. He teased Wang Feng Deo. "Haha. No matter how busy he is, he still has to come out to greet him. I have brought back the person he respects the most." Wang Feng laughed proudly. "Which of you is going? Call him out quickly and tell the instructor to arrive." "The most respected person? Instructor? Is there anyone else in the car?" Luo Kaying said blankly. "Nonsense. There is no one in the car. Did I come back from the Transformers?" Seeing Luo Kaying, Wang Feng couldn't help but get angry and said, "Lao Luo, wait a minute, I still have a debt to settle with you." "Ah? What's the account?" Luo Kaying was a little confused. He. "I don't know what it is, but I know it's definitely not a good thing." Yu Fenghan chuckled from the side. From Wang Feng's tone, Yu Fenghan knew that Luo Kaying would not have anything good to eat. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Doomsday Special Forces. Author, Huanjing Chengzhu. Chapter 139. Wang Feng saw that someone had already called Duan Lei, so he stopped worrying and looked at the enhancers around him. When he saw Lu Wanting, he walked up to her, gently held her hand, and asked softly, "Are you not worried about me?" Lu Wanting's face flushed, but she nodded gently. Suddenly, she felt something was wrong, so she shook her head again. But the problem was that Wang Feng's question made her shake her head and nod, which seemed to be wrong. She stamped her feet in a hurry. Just as she was about to speak, she heard the door of the warrior military vehicle open, so she stopped talking and turned to look at the door, wanting to see who Wang Feng brought back. Not only Lu Wanting, but when the door opened, everyone present, except Wang Feng, all looked at the door. Bang, a pair of military boots landed first, and then a strong hand grabbed the edge of the door and gently closed it with force. A middle-aged man with a long stick on his shoulder and camouflage appeared in everyone's sight. "Ah! Apostle Paul, Luo Yingke was the first to shout when he saw the person coming. Bang, a big foot flew over and hit Luo Yingke's butt, causing him to land in a butt backward, flat sand and wild goose style posture. Why did you kick me in the head? Luo Ying touched his butt with one hand and his bald head with the other, shouting aggrievedly. Kick you? Kicking you is a light punishment. Now describe to me what the Apostle Paul you mentioned looks like. Wang Feng looked at Luo Ying and gritted his teeth. Ah! What did I say? Luo Ying looked at Wang Feng in confusion, then turned his head to look at Li Yingning. Isn't this similar to what I said? Several enhancers who had heard Luo Ying describe the appearance of the Apostle Paul at that time, only then did they remember Luo Ying's description of the man in front of them. They all looked at Li Yingning, their mouths twitching, and then they all rushed forward, knocked Luo Ying down, and then punched and kicked him together. While beating him, they were still muttering. I made you handsome, I made you 23 or 24, I made you talk nonsense, I made you talk nonsense. After Li Yingning got off the car, he saw this group of people beating a bald man, and he didn't feel a little strange, but because of his personality, he didn't ask, but just looked at the hope base in front of him. Wang Feng had gone through a real hellish training this week. Compared with the previous one, it was completely different. If the previous one could be considered a hellish training, it was at most the first level of hell. This time, Wang Feng was directly sent to the 18th level of hell by the instructor. After killing the bear and letting Apocalypse absorb its life energy, Wang Feng was shocked to get a result that made him very depressed. That is, the life energy and mutation energy of the bear could synthesize a power-type evolution potion, but it did not work for Wang Feng. In other words, if Wang Feng wanted to increase his own strength, he could not use Apocalypse's potion to enhance it, but had to think of other ways. In fact, if he thought about it, it was right. If it could be superimposed, Wang Feng would have to use all the Apocalypse's potion to enhance it. If all the starting points are synthesized into a power-type evolution potion and taken by himself, it may not take long for him to reach the level of a level 5 creature. At this time, Wang Feng discovered that his instructor's ability seemed to be no worse than his own. At least he could absorb all the life energy he swallowed, so now the instructor can develop both strength and agility. In fact, this is Wang Feng's misunderstanding. He cannot absorb the power-type evolution potion because his current physique belongs to the single attribute agility system, while the instructor has both strength and agility attributes, so there is an essential difference between him and Wang Feng. If Wang Feng can also have dual attributes when he becomes an evolver, then he can now use the power-type evolution potion to improve his strength attribute. Unfortunately, when Wang Feng was an enhancer, he tends to be agile. If he had used Lu Qiang's evolution potion, he would definitely be a power-type evolver now, but he used an agile one. In the process of becoming an evolver, his body had been transformed into an agile evolver by the evolution potion, and now it cannot be changed. As for the instructor's ability to become a dual attribute evolver, it was probably because he had a very strong physical fitness when he was an ordinary person, and when he broke through the evolver, the energy he absorbed should be a certain biochemical beast with both strength and agility, so he had this enviable physique. When the instructor learned that Wang Feng could not directly absorb the life energy of other creatures for his own use like him, a glimmer of enlightenment seemed to flash in his eyes, but Wang Feng, who was a little depressed, did not notice it. Forget it. Since this doesn't work, let's change the way Li Yingning looked at Wang Feng and said so. Wang Feng quickly understood the instructor's meaning of changing the way, which was also the origin of his feeling that he had entered the 18 levels of hell. For the next 7 days, Wang Feng never slept again. The instructor gave him enough food and water, but did not allow him to rest for even a minute. Even for defecation, there were strict time limits. He was either made to carry huge rocks around the mountain, or taken to raid the lair of a mutant beast. It is said that Li Yingning is really familiar with this entire mountain. Under his guidance, Wang Feng has never failed, and the instructors always take him to kill certain types of mutant beasts in a targeted manner. Don't let him kill 2 mutant beasts of the same type in a row. In this way, he ran for at least 8 hours carrying rocks every day, and then he continued to slaughter mutant beasts endlessly. At least 8 mutant beasts were killed every day, and the maximum number of mutant beasts he killed was 14 mutant beasts in one day. Even with Apocalypse's restoration, Wang Feng, the wounds on his body were basically never broken. At the end of the last day, when he heard the devil instructor's calm words, "Okay. Hell Week is over," Wang Feng didn't even have time to cheer before he lay down on the ground and fell asleep. Even if he is an evolver, even if he has reached the 2nd level, Wang Feng is still alone. After a week of endless training, and most of the time fighting against death, he is not only tired of his body, but also his spirit. And will have also reached their limits. Perhaps seeing this, the instructor ended the abuse of him so happily. Wang Feng slept for nearly 20 hours. The instructor woke him up, otherwise he would not have gotten up without sleeping for 3 days and 3 nights. When the instructor told him that he could leave, Wang Feng tentatively opened his mouth and invited Li Yingning to come to the Hope Base to help him. "Instructor, you know that I have established a Hope Base. Could you please come to our base? Having you in my heart will make me feel more at ease." Wang Feng looked at the instructor's face carefully, but Li Yingning was always so calm. "Open your face, it's all in vain." "Instructor, Xiao Lei is there too, why don't you go over and train him for a week?" After waiting for a long time and not seeing any response from Li Yingning, Wang Feng had no choice but to drag Duan Lei into the water. "Instructor, I have killed almost all the mutated beasts in this mountain. If you continue to live here, won't you have enough food?" Xiao Lei didn't work, so Wang Feng decided to start with people's livelihood issues. "Instructor, look, you only have 1 tree here. When I leave, you don't even have anyone to talk to. How lonely is it?" Questions about people's livelihood didn't work, so Wang Feng decided to change directions. "Instructor, you are an instructor, and you always have to train soldiers. Many people here want to be trained by you. There are also many children. They are the future of mankind. Why don't you help me train them?" "Instructor, you." After persuading him earnestly for a long time, Wang Feng gave out all the reasons he could think of, even using the fact that there was no toilet here. However, Li Yingning remained unmoved, saying nothing or expressing anything. "Instructor," Wang Feng finally lost his patience, jumped up regardless, and shouted loudly. "When we were trained by you, you always said that as a soldier, you should always remember, preferably engraved in your own bones, what are those 8 words?" Hearing Wang Feng's question, Li Yingning's eyes finally showed a trace of fluctuation. He stood up as a reflex and straightened his body. "Be loyal to the motherland. Be loyal to the people." Li Yingning was not prepared to answer Wang Feng's question, but when Wang Feng asked these 8 words, he couldn't help but said them smoothly. Wang Feng was right, these 8 words had been engraved in his bones. It can never be erased. After speaking these 8 words unconsciously, the look in Li Yingning's eyes disappeared. She sat down again, and whispered, "There is no longer any country in this world. At the moment when the heavenly fire comes in the apocalypse, all communications were interrupted, and the communication satellites in the sky should have been destroyed long before the sky fire came to the ground." Li Yingning was telling the truth. After the heavenly fire came, the whole world fell into chaos. When the situation slowly stabilized, the entire human society had returned to its most primitive tribal form. Large, medium, and small human survival bases have been established one after another to accommodate the displaced, panicked and hungry survivors around them. The term country has indeed become a thing of the past in today's world. Wang Feng slowly came to Li Yingning, took a deep breath, then looked down at Li Yingning, and said word by word, "Instructor, You are right, the country is gone. But the people are still there. Doomsday Special Forces. Author, Huanjing Chengzhu. Chapter 140. Hearing Wang Feng's decisive words, Li Yingning shuddered, then raised her head and looked at Wang Feng's firm eyes. A trace of confusion seemed to flash in his eyes. Instructor. We hope that the base now houses more than 80,000 survivors. They are all our compatriots. In fact, it is meaningless to distinguish between regions and races now. To be precise, they are all our kind. We are all its people. When Wang Feng saw Li Yingning finally reacting, he couldn't help but continued, most of them are very weak, and more than 90% of them are ordinary people. If they are allowed to wander outside, it may not be long before they will suffer from various problems. Died for a reason. We are evolvers, and we especially want to teach you that you may be able to live a very good life here. Even if everyone in the world dies, you can continue to live. However, when you are the only one left in the world, when you are a human being, does your life still have meaning? I used to just want to survive in this shitty apocalypse. I didn't think about other issues because I had no experience. But Xiao Lei and another person, they let me know that we can actually still be in this world. Find yourself a goal. In this way we will have more courage to live, instead of lingering and hiding in a safe place waiting to die, instructor. I already have a goal, which is to continue human civilization. I know this goal is very big, but this goal is what keeps me alive now. Most of the survivors in our base are women and children. I call them the Guardian Legion when they are fighting outside. Most of them are former soldiers. In the end of the world, even if they are not wearing military uniforms, they are still soldiers and are still here. Protect their people. Instructor. That's all I have to say. Regardless of whether you go to my place or not, I have to thank you for training me these days. After Wang Feng finished speaking, he stood at attention and saluted Li Yingning with a military salute, followed by he turned back in a standard manner and strode out of the cabin. Wait, just when Wang Feng thought he had failed and was about to return to the camp immediately, Li Yingning's voice came from behind, but it was still calm and emotionless. Wang Feng turned around and saw that Li Yingning had stood up and was slowly walking towards him, so he stood at attention and waited for Li Yingning. Haha. How can you do this, kid? No wonder they call you crazy. How dare you say that I am here to survive? Li Yingning looked at Wang Feng and said, with a rare smile on his face. Okay. Since you said your camp is so good and great, I will go and have a look, but first, let me help you train the troops, but my training will kill people. When the time comes, you don't ask me for help. Wang Feng was overjoyed when he heard this, and immediately gave another military salute. Thank you, instructor. Li Yingning didn't speak this time, just waved her hand casually, then walked straight to the pine tree, stroked the leaves of the pine tree, and murmured, Xiao Song. I'm leaving, do you want to follow me, together, or stay here? Of course, the pine tree couldn't speak, but even Wang Feng, who was standing behind him, instantly understood what the pine tree meant, because as soon as Li Yingning finished speaking, the huge pine tree began to slowly shrink like the willow tree. Stand up. Perhaps because the life level of this pine tree was relatively high, its shrinking process was very slow. No wonder Wang Feng had already learned from Li Yingning that this pine tree was cultivated by Li Yingning himself. At that time, when the apocalyptic sky fire came, Li Yingning was performing a mission here. Unexpectedly, he encountered the apocalyptic sky fire. Fortunately, the Black Dragon Mountain where he was not attacked by any fireballs, and Li Yingning was unscathed. After going out once and getting to know the situation outside, Li Yingning came back here again, built this camping house, and began his secluded life. Of course, occasionally he would go out to search for some supplies, and he would be surprised when he saw some things he couldn't understand. Will take action to kill or save people. The mutated beasts at that time were far from as powerful as they are now, and Li Yingning was naturally not an evolver. As time went by, he became more and more powerful, and the various beasts in the mountains became more and more powerful. Li Yingning relied on hunting every day. Kill these beasts for food. For him, survival in the wild is naturally a child's play. At that time, after Li Yingning came back from hunting a wild beast, he hung the wild beast directly on a pine tree, skinned it, disemboweled it, and discarded the internal organs under the tree. When he got there, he hunted the mutated beast. The same is true of time. Over time, this pine tree became a mutated creature. Perhaps because it was Li Yingning who caused the pine tree to mutate, this mutated pine tree never attacked Li Yingning, and would also shoot pine needles to help Li Yingning protect this place when mutant beasts attacked. It is precisely because it has been eating the flesh and blood of high-level mutant beasts that it appears so powerful. The willow tree is nothing compared to it. This is because the willow tree has eaten level 5 creatures. Flesh and blood, otherwise there is no way to compare with it. It took half an hour for the pine tree to shrink itself to just over 2 meters tall, with arms as thick as its own, and it looked a lot like a Christmas tree. Li Yingning stepped forward and pulled up the Christmas tree, then walked in one direction, and at the same time said, "Pack up the things in the house, and then follow me." Ah, Wang Feng was stunned. Didn't he want to go back to the base with me? Why should I follow you? However, Wang Feng didn't dare to ask more questions. He had to go back to the wooden house, clean up the sundries inside, piled them into the apocalypse space that was almost full, and then followed Li Yingning as before. After walking for less than an hour, Li Yingning brought Wang Feng to a huge cave. Li Yingning had brought Wang Feng here before, but at that time, there was a powerful mutant beast in the cave, which had of course been killed by Wang Feng. Li Yingning looked back at Wang Feng, then threw the pine tree on his shoulder to Wang Feng, saying, "Help me carry it first." Li Yingning's action scared Wang Feng so much that he hurriedly caught the pine tree and carefully carried it on his shoulders, muttering softly, "Brother Song, please watch out. I'm one of us, one of us." Li Yingning ignored the communication between Wang Feng and the pine tree, but walked into the cave, leaving a sentence, "Follow me." Wang Feng, who heard the voice, hurriedly followed him into the cave, his eyes full of confusion. He didn't know why Li Yingning brought him here again, because he had been here before, and after killing the mutant beast entrenched here, Wang Feng also came in to take a look. There was nothing inside except a nest built by the mutant beast with weeds. Li Yingning came to the end of the cave, reached out and took out a small remote control from the pocket of his military uniform. After fiddling with it for a while, the stone wall of the cave in front of him actually cracked and separated to both sides. This is... Wang Feng stared at everything in front of him in amazement, and suddenly remembered that Li Yingning had said before that he came here to perform a mission. Could it be that the mission is related to the secret in this cave? Wang Feng's idea was soon confirmed. When he followed Li Yingning and walked into the secret door behind the cave, he was stunned by the scene in front of him. Wang Feng doubted whether the Black Dragon Mountain had been completely hollowed out. Through the secret door of the cave, there was a huge space inside. Rows of vehicles, artillery, and even tanks simply blinded Wang Feng's eyes. Li Yingning looked at the various vehicles in the space and said softly, "This was originally a secret strategic reserve base of our country, but some time before the Sci-Fi came, the superiors found that there were traitors among the personnel here, and the address of the base may have been leaked. So I brought people here and took all the people who were originally working here back, because I still need to set up the secret door here, so I asked my team members to escort all the people back for interrogation first, and I stayed here for one more day. I didn't expect that the apocalyptic Sci-Fi would occur on this day, and I never contacted anyone again. There is a communication vehicle here, but I tried it and it was completely unusable. All communications were interrupted and no signals were received. Even civilian stations could not be found. That's why I stayed nearby, hoping that someone would come here. As a result, half a year has passed, haha. Li Yingning didn't finish her words, but ended with two bitter smiles. Wang Feng understood Li Yingning. He knew the feeling of suddenly losing his guard target, but now more importantly, all the supplies here should belong to the Hope Base. This time, the Hope Base really made a fortune. Although he hasn't seen the whole picture of the base, Wang Feng himself is a soldier after all, and he is also a member of the elite special forces. From the vehicles in front of him, Wang Feng has guessed that the scale of this base should be that of an army group. In other words, the equipment stored here can be used to equip at least 30,000 to 40,000 people. Now his entire guard corps does not have so many people, right? But having more equipment is definitely not a problem, just keep it for later use. And here, Wang Feng actually saw 8 Hurricane armored vehicles. Of course, these 8 vehicles are all Hurricane 2, which is an improved version suitable for military use. It is not exactly the same as his own Hurricane. The Hurricane 2 is more advanced than his own Type I, and the firepower is also stronger. Of course, the most important thing is its characteristic of not consuming fuel, which is the most practical function in the world now.